I think it's hard to ever admit that. And I think there's a degree in which we're trying to escape vulnerability. And so when the truth threatens our opinion, then we want to erase it. And when we want other people to accept our truths, I think we try and shape truth so it matches our opinion quite often, which is, I don't even think it's necessarily wrong, but it creates a world in which whatever's happening isn't grounded in a reality that we're going to have to face. And so I think we're experiencing that, like in the U.S. when, we've gone to so many wars over false pretense. And when we don't solve the problem that was there and there was no problem there and we create a new one, eventually you got to face that. And I think the world right now is living through kind of this moment where truth is secondary to desire. And so there's consequences to that. We're all living through it.
I mean, the military-industrial complex wars, like, I used to hate George Bush, with a passion, or I thought I hated him. But it's so hard to know, in the long scheme of things, was he right? Was his actions, good? I mean, I don't think so. I personally think a limited response of, even more lethality with limited funding is the proper response. I think war has to be economic, and we've exhausted ourselves 40,000 times over. So I'm just saying no one really knows the truth. It's very hard to know. And in the long scheme of things and in historical, narratives and epochs or hundreds of years and thousands of years, who knows? Maybe all these wars are for peace. Maybe they're not as bad as you think they are, because there's even worse realities than the reality.
I don't think there's a problem with trying to make decisions considering through the lens of temporality. Because if you're like, there's this problem of infinite recursion. When you go in the future and you say, like, okay, they said that this country was pursuing nuclear weapons. We now know that they were not pursuing nuclear weapons. And in fact, when they had said they had evidence, we know they know that because they prepared documents expressing that it's a lie and they had counter evidence. So, for example, George W. Bush, we know he went to war under false pretense. We know after we went there, it was false pretense. And we also know that internally they knew it was false pretense and they planned on how to manipulate people to hide the fact that it wasn't true. So sometimes it's nice because we have conclusive evidence something's not true and it was a lie. So it is a true statement that they knew there were no nuclear weapons. There were not weapons of mass destruction. They did not have evidence of that, but they did want to go to war and use that as their